Okay, in this section, we're going to cover how to find your specific advertising targets to go after inside of the Facebook ad platform. So you have done your research by now about your audience, and that research, again, is going to be used to inform your decisions about what specifically you're going to target inside of your Facebook ad platform. This is as important as any other factor in determining your success with your campaigns, because the best offer in front of the wrong audience will never work, right? If you put the absolute best offer for yoga pants in front of a bunch of male construction workers, then it doesn't matter, not the stereotype, but most likely your yoga pants are not going to sell real well to that audience. So we've got to make sure that we're putting our offer in front of the right people. If you do that, even an okay offer in front of the right audience can do pretty well. Okay, the audience is super, super important, because even if you didn't do a great job with your ad or a great job with how you structured your offer, if I love yoga and I see an ad for yoga pants, there's a decent chance that I'm going to click on that and take advantage of that offer. Okay, so targeting is absolutely critical. And again, all of that research that you just did about your audience provides you with targets and provides you with just information about understanding how to target. Websites, Facebook pages, associations, brands, people, stores, interests, they can all be targeted inside of Facebook. In fact, I think when you realize the extent of the targeting that you can do inside of Facebook, it's almost a little bit frightening. From an advertiser's perspective, it's wonderful. From a personal perspective, you may be a little freaked out, but we're going to take advantage of it the best we can for our ads. And we're going to work to find the best targets for you and for what it is that you are trying to advertise. The best way to do this, by far, is to use Facebook's Audience Insights tool. Okay, Facebook's Audience Insights tool is essentially a window into Facebook's massive database of information about you. And I say about you, it's not necessarily about you specifically. It's about the collective audience of Facebook users, of which you make up a portion of that. Okay, 1 out of 1.3 billion or so that are on there. But you take all that information and you put it together, and Facebook has really, really interesting data and insights about who you are and what you do, what you're interested in. Our objective is to find the people who are most likely to do what it is that we want them to do from our ad campaign, right? Whether that's subscribe to an email, watch a video, buy something, whatever our objective is, we want to find the people who are most likely to do that. And that's one thing to really understand about how Facebook advertising works, is to understand that not all people behave the same way online, just like not all people behave the same way offline, right? You can put a particular offer in front of 10 people who are walking down the street, and a percentage of those people will jump to take advantage of that offer, and a percentage of those people will walk all the way around to the other side of the sidewalk to make sure that they don't come anywhere near you, and don't even have to have a conversation with you about your offer, right? So not all people behave the same way offline, and not all people behave the same way online. If you have a population of, say, 1 million people that you're targeting, a percentage of those people are buyers. A percentage of those people opt into things. A percentage of those people will never get their credit card out and purchase anything online because they're scared to death of security issues. So in that audience of people, not everybody is the same, and we want to use the information inside of Facebook to try to find the people who are most likely to accomplish the objective that we're going after, okay? Now, in most cases, that means that you want to find the people who are most likely to buy from you. Okay, most of you ultimately, I imagine, are trying to sell something. You're trying to, make a transaction happen, whether that's to buy a product off of your store, your e-commerce store, or whether that's opting in to have a conversation with a sales rep who then, over the course of weeks ends up, selling that person on something. So ultimately, though, they're buying something. There's some transaction that's happening. That's how you're getting ROI. So we are looking ideally for buyer targets first for our campaigns. Okay, and by a buyer target, I mean we are looking for the people who have some sort of purchase history. And ideally, depending on the targeting information we can get, we'll be able to demonstrate in our targeting that they have some sort of purchase history, and that's why we're targeting them. Okay, these people are often also people that often show a real passion for a specific interest or specific products. So the type of person who's really into camping gear. Not only are they shoppers on REI, but maybe there's 15 blogs on camping that they follow and magazines that they read on camping, and they subscribe to all of those, right? And they are fans of all of the national parks Facebook pages, and they visit the national parks often. So, oftentimes the people who are real buyers are really rabid about the particular topic or products that you're offering. So that's what we want to do, is we want to find those people. And again, Audience Insights is the best way to do that. It's an amazing platform. Here's how you get to it. Again, from inside of the Ads Manager, you're just going to click on that Tools. The second one down there is Audience Insights. Okay, you're just going to click on that. And from here, let's go over the shoulder. I'm going to take you out to an Audience Insights interface so we can dig into this a little bit and show you how it works. Okay, so first of all, you can see here, I have the option of either digging into the database for everyone on Facebook, or I can say, just give me the data on people who are connected to my page. So if you have a page that already has a good size audience, you can just dig into information about your particular audience, which is fantastic. And again, if you're working with any sort of client and doing advertising for them, and maybe they already have an active Facebook page, you can learn a lot about who their Facebook fans are by using audience insights and just looking at particularly people connected to your page. By doing so, Facebook is going to pull up information that's just specific to those people, which can be really, really valuable insights. But for now, we're going to look at everyone on Facebook, okay? And Facebook's giving me some clues here. It says add or remove locations here to change your selected audience. In our particular case, we are going to go ahead and just assume that we're just going to advertise to people in the United States. However, you can advertise all over the world with Facebook, right? This is really a global platform, and so it may be, I don't know. I mean, let's look at South Korea, which we can target in South Korea. So 10 to 15 million active people in South Korea, but maybe more commonly for you, Australia, and you can target certain cities, states, regions inside of Australia. You can do United Kingdom, right? You can do specific countries there, Ireland. You can do states, right? California. You can do specific cities, and then you can even get really into the details here, right? So I could put in information like zip codes, right, in here as well. So I can get very, very targeted in how I'm running these ads, which is one of the real powerful things about the Facebook ad platform. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put in United States though, and I am going to start to filter the information that I'm seeing here to hone in on a particular audience. Okay, so you can see here up top right now, because I'm just looking at the United States, anybody who is 18 or older, both genders, there's 150 to 200 million active people in that audience on Facebook. So that's pretty incredible. It's almost the entire country. And by clicking on page likes, or I'm sorry, starting with demographics, I can see 54% women, 46% men. I can see the percentage breakdown on Facebook, right? So, and you can't really tell here. I'll show you here in just a minute an example of where I can see the difference between all women and then women on Facebook and all men and men on Facebook. You can see there's a gray area here in the background. In most cases, there will be a difference between all men and men on Facebook. And so you'll be able to see, is your audience in this age group heavy Facebook users or not? I'll show you that in just a moment. But you can see some information here about their lifestyle, their relationship status, their education level, okay, their job titles. You can see all kinds of information here about them. Then page likes, we're going to see what are the most popular pages in this particular audience. And you can see here Walmart is number one. Who knew? And then Amazon.com, Target, Facebook, Family Guy, M&M, Samsung. Pretty interesting to see the most popular Facebook pages for just this broad audience of Americans. You can see where they are in terms of location, what activities they engage in on Facebook, their devices that they're using, okay? Information about their household income, home ownership, household size, home market value, spending methods. So you can see this is all very interesting data as you look into targeting a particular audience. How they spend their money, okay? Are they online purchasers, offline purchasers, categories of products? This is some interesting third-party data provided by a company called Datalogics, where it's telling you, are they in the market at the time for a particular vehicle? So if you're advertising automotive or motorcycles or anything like that, this is incredibly powerful information. So as we dig into a particular audience, this information starts to get much more interesting for us. Okay, so let's just go and let's say that we are interested in targeting yoga enthusiasts. Okay, so right here in interests, I'm just going to type in the word yoga and just see what comes up. So you can see here's this broad word yoga, and there's yoga pants, hot yoga, yoga journal, Bikram yoga. Yoga is exercise, hatha yoga, ashtanga, vinyasa yoga. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on yoga to start for the purposes of this demonstration. Now you can see what just happened here is that everything got modified based on the particular audience that I said I want to target. I want to target people specifically interested in yoga. It's interesting. You can see that there are 30 to 35 million people in the United States that Facebook says these people are interested in yoga. Now, what I can tell you is that there are not actually 30 to 35 million people in America doing yoga. Okay. Yoga is huge in America, but it's not that huge. What Facebook does when it pulls together this audience and this number specifically is based on your activities in Facebook, it will lump you into this, just what they call by association. So if you liked a post that had anything to do with yoga or had the word yoga in it, so your friend maybe posted and said, oh, I just went to a great yoga class tonight, and you liked it just because you were supporting your friend, you are going to get lumped into this number. Okay? So one of the things that you need to be aware of then, if that's the case, then right now, even though I've typed in the interest yoga, I am not as targeted as I could be, right? Because clearly the person who just liked a post about their friend going to a yoga class is not necessarily the real active buyer target that I'm looking for. But even just by typing in just the word yoga, I started to get some real interesting information. Look at that, 74% of my audience is women. Comparing this to, as I said, 54% of all users in the United States are women. All users of Facebook, that is, are women. So you can see that yoga skews very heavily towards women, right? Because this audience is made up 74% of women, only 26% of men. So it skews very heavily towards women. And then I can see their age groups here. And again, when I hover over, I can see how this skews by age group. So women aged 25 to 34 are 27% of the selected audience, but only 24% of Facebook's users. So in other words, this age group skews heavy to be yoga enthusiasts, whereas at 65 plus, they skew under. Okay, they're skewed to be less likely to be yoga enthusiasts. Okay, because the gray section is bigger than the blue section. Okay, so this gives us some good information telling us that, hey, as you know, in this younger demographic, these are people who are really interested in yoga. It starts to tail off as it gets older here. Okay, as we get older. And 74% are women. It also just gives us some other interesting information about their lifestyle, about what they're into. And again, this is essentially giving you the percentage skew, right? So you can see here, kids and clout. Selected audience is 20% as likely to be in this group compared to Facebook users. So what is kids and clout? You can hover over here and it says kids and clout is comprised of affluent couples with school-aged children. Their activities tend to be geared towards work, home, or kids. And knowing people I know that do yoga, that sounds about right. Also, savvy singles. Savvy singles households are reasonably well educated and enjoy upper middle incomes. Despite solid incomes, their residence in metropolitan areas often requires renting in multiple family dwellings. That sounds right, too, for kind of those urban enthusiasts who are doing yoga, right? So we can get some really interesting information, and we can target these groups inside of Facebook, okay? You can get relationship status, education level. Again, all of this information can be then used to target more effectively with our ads. So, and we can go through all of these tabs and learn information about these yoga enthusiasts. But the one that I want to show you, that I want you to focus on, is here, page likes. So page likes, this tells us our top categories of all kinds of different things related to this yoga market: teacher, writer, sport, health and fitness, health and wellness, jewelry, watches, sports, recreation, activities, authors, home decor. So these are all, that initial set of questions that we went through in researching our audience. This is giving us much more information from inside of Facebook about this particular audience. And then if we go down here to page likes, this is where this starts to get really, really helpful. I like to give credit to the person who taught me this research method, Matt Schmidt, who's a very successful Facebook advertiser and e-commerce business owner. He taught me this strategy that I'm about to show you, so I just like to give credit where credit is due. But down here, you can see the pages that they tend to like. And some of these are going to make a lot of sense to you. So Lululemon Athletica, right? This is a brand of clothes that really pretty much started as like a yoga clothing brand, okay? I imagine some of these others are as well. But you can see a lot of this is not really specific to a yoga market. Groupon, NPR, okay, that's not really specific to yoga. And you can see over here, if you look at affinity, okay, affinity tells you how likely your audience is to like a given page compared to everyone else on Facebook. So again, what this is giving you an idea is that skew factor. Okay, how much does this audience skew towards liking something that the rest of the Facebook population does not necessarily like, right? So you can see these affinity numbers tell you that yoga people are 1.5 times more likely to like Humans of New York than just the general Facebook population. They are 1.6 times more likely to like the Dalai Lama or Lululemon Athletica. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for things that have as high an affinity as possible, because that tells me that, hey, my audience is really into this stuff. So if I look down here, Yoga Journal has 2.6 times, which is the highest on this list, okay? Yoga Journal, that makes a whole lot of sense that people are into yoga would like Yoga Journal, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm taking that highest affinity one that I'm sure, is related, and I'm going to go up here and back in my interest, I'm going to see if I can target it. So I'm going to type in Yoga Journal, okay? And I sure can. And I can actually, there's a few different things. Yoga Journal looks like maybe, I don't know, workouts, Yoga Journal events, but I'm going to go ahead and go with this top one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now get rid of my original interest, which was just yoga. Okay. Now look at my affinity numbers. They're starting to go up much, much higher than they were before, right? So I'm going to sort by affinity here, and I'm going to see that there are specific pages here that have really high affinity. Okay. I love yoga, yoga dork, yoga.com. Sean Korn, which I imagine is some sort of yoga instructor, same with Jason Crandell. There's Yogi Times, Yoga Earth, Yogis Anonymous, Yoga Medicine, doyouyoga.com, Half Moon Yoga Products. So now I'm really starting to get into this audience, right? And up here, this has changed as well because my audience has changed. I'm now down to 2 to 2.5 million people. I'm getting much more focused because, as we said, not all 35 million people are going to be into Yoga Journal, right? The 35 million people that have liked some sort of post around yoga, not all of them are so into yoga that they're like checking out Yoga Journal. It turns out 2 to 2.5 million of them are. So I'm starting to get really focused on the people who are actually really into yoga. So I'm going to continue this process. But what I'm doing here is I'm saying, okay, all of these are starting to be potential targets for my Facebook advertising. Okay, when I create an ad campaign, I may want to target people who are fans of Yoga Journal, Jason Crandell Yoga, or yoga.com. Okay, now, not all of these are necessarily targetable. Even though they're listed here, you may not be able to target them with your ads, and why that is, I do not know. But Facebook leaves out certain things to be targeted. Even though they give you this information here, it may not be targetable. The way you find out if it's targetable is you just go up here and start typing them in. So Jason Crandell Yoga, it is. So I can target that. Now, since that's the highest affinity on this list, I'm just going to go ahead and put it in I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Yoga Journal now and see, whoa, look at this. Look at my affinity numbers skyrocket now. 206, 170, 135, 128. That's pretty incredible, right? I'm starting to get people who are really, really into yoga, okay? Now, you may think, well, perfect. I'm just going to go and advertise to all of these, right? Because these people are crazy about yoga. But the second step of this process that I want you to pay attention to is look how small these audiences got. And it's really, really difficult to advertise with much effectiveness or scale to an audience of 9,500 people, right? So there is a balance here that we've got to figure out. We suggest that you advertise to audiences, ideally, if you're going after something broad and national, audiences of 500,000 people to 2 million people, okay? If you're advertising to something very local, obviously you won't be able to do that. But if you're advertising nationally, I'd say 500,000 to 2 million people is a great number. Okay, so you're going to want to, think about what's the size of the audience that I want to go after here. And so it won't make sense to go this tight on your targeting. You're going to want to back this up a little bit. So maybe I'm going to go back up to Yoga Journal, to the Yoga Journal level. Yes, I'm going to lose some of that crazy affinity score. But now what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to search for relevance. Sort by relevance, Relevance, if you look at the information bubble there, is the pages that are most likely to be relevant to your audience based on affinity. Okay, so based on what we've been looking at, page size, and the number of people in your audience who already like that page. So effectively, this is a nice combination score of, size of audience and affinity. And it's using this kind of in combination to determine which are the most relevant, right? So when I look at it this way, now I've got some nice big audiences I can go after. Yoga Journal, Yoga International, Mind Body Green, My Yoga Online, Yogi Times. So I've now got some good size audiences that I can go after that I think I can be real successful with. And again, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start going through and just seeing which of these I can target. And what I recommend you do is just write these down. Write down the ones that you can target. Okay, write them down on a piece of paper so that you know that they are available for you to target. So Yoga International is, I know Mind Body Green is because I've targeted them. So there's Mind Body Green. Let's see if My Yoga Online is. It sure is. Yogi Times. Yep, I'm just trying to find, I'm hoping to find one that isn't available just so you can see that not all of them are going to be available. Panda Yoga is. Let's see if Yoga Anonymous is. Yep, it sure is. Do You Yoga. Yep. I know Elephant Journal is because I've targeted them. I know Shape is, health.com. Catherine Buddig, let me see if that pops up. Yes, man. So I'm having a hard time finding ones that aren't available for you, which is great in this market. But I can promise you that not all of them will be available to target. So anyway, you found this great audience, okay? That you're interested in targeting. What I would then do is I would go look at my demographics information. Again, write down what is it about this audience. Try and really understand, what seem to be the markets that I want to go after. So you can see in this case with my advertising, I would probably focus exclusively on women just because it's a much smaller percentage of people, men that are interested in yoga. I'd probably just run my ads all to women. I'd make sure everything that I was doing in my ads in terms of images and copy are relevant to them. I would probably only target the 25 to 54 age group. After that, I probably would not even bother. Anything under 10%, I typically would not bother with at all. Sometimes even a little bit higher than that number, I won't go below, but I would probably not bother with these age groups at all. So I would stick right in here. I usually don't advertise to anybody under age 25 if I'm trying to sell something because I just find that, their disposable income, their ability to, open up their wallet and buy something is usually just less than somebody once they're, 25. Hopefully they're working, they're out of college, things like that. They've got some disposable income. That's not always the case. Certainly depends on the market that you're going after. So use your judgment. But in this case, I would target these age ranges, women, and then I would just prowl around through any of this additional information. And I would see, do I want to target my advertising specifically towards anything that I can target, like whether or not they're married or not, whether or not they're college educated or not, right? The skews, yoga people skew to be more educated, you can see here. So I'm going to use all of this information to find my targets and to target my ads. So here I'm going to look at, some of these other like public figures. I'm going to look these up. Retail and consumer merchandise. So this is a brand of yoga products. So if I'm selling yoga products specifically like clothing or mats, I'm probably going to look at this brand and look at also any other brands that I can. And then here's yoga clothing. So there you go. These are stores or brands that are selling yoga products. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to pop them open and I'm going to take a look at them. Okay. Spiritual gangster clothing, it turns out, is yoga inspired clothing for high vibration living. They have 208,000 fans. Looks like my kind of audience, right? That I'm going to go after. If I'm selling yoga clothing. And there might be something even more tailored. So this looks even more like a yoga crowd to me. Like that other brand looked like, somebody could just buy that sweatshirt and wear it around even if they're not into yoga. But this is clearly, this is yoga clothes, right? So this could be a more targeted market. Now, when I said earlier that I want to look for buyer targets, how do I determine out of all this information, who is a buyer target? Well, I want you to think about it. The people who are showing interest in products and services, clothing, retail and consumer merchandise, right? Those are all things that you buy, okay? So the people that have liked these brands and been shopping on these sites, are buying targets, right? Those are people that I'm really interested in going after first. Versus, I may be interested in a particular artist. I may really love to read the I Love Yoga blog, right? But just because I love to read the I Love Yoga blog, it doesn't mean I'm spending any money. Okay, so I would still absolutely test targeting the I Love Yoga blog, but if I had a limited budget and I was trying to decide who to target first, I would go after these buying targets first, right? Products and services, clothing, retail and consumer merchandise, I would definitely go after them first with my limited budget, because I think the chances that those people are going to open up their wallet and spend money are greater than the people who are just reading, an I Love Yoga blog. Okay, so I hope you can see how powerful Audience Insights is. It's a really, really amazing tool. I encourage you to really dig into this. And to understand its full capabilities. You can target people connected to your particular pages. You can target people not connected to your particular pages. And in this advanced section here, this is where you'll get really blown away at the things that you can start to narrow in on, specific languages, relationship statuses, education levels, specific job titles. So I can, maybe I just want to see all the nurses who are into yoga. Okay, so maybe I just put in nurses here. And how does that change my market? Well, now I'm down to 45 to 50,000 people, but these are nurses who like yoga. So if I have a product that is related to that, this is a very specific audience that I could go after, aggressively, right? So the amount of data that you can dig into, maybe I'm only looking for people with a certain level of income or certain net worth, depending on the products that I'm selling or the services that I'm selling. So these are the types of things that you can dig into in Audience Insights. And really, I encourage you to just get in there and play around. And a couple of features that I just want to show you here real quick is you can actually save an audience. So let's say that you did all this research, you filtered in, and you found your 2.5 million people who are interested in yoga that fit the exact profile that you wanted, right? You can just save this audience and give it a name, and now you will be able to easily go and target that audience in your advertising just by going and pulling up that particular name of audience in your ad account as you're creating your ads, okay? Or you can just come back to it here in Audience Insights and just use it as a baseline to quickly do research without having to start all over, all right? So that is Audience Insights, and that is how to find your best targets in Facebook. I encourage you, again, to dig into the data. Don't just guess, okay? You don't want to just sit down and make a guess at who's going to be your best target. You want to use Audience Insights to tap into that huge wealth of Facebook's data and then primarily use